Hi, everybody. I want to show you a clip of Douglas Murray on Elon Levy's new podcast called State of a Nation, where he's being asked to respond to the ceasefire now chanters. I'll give you my thoughts in a sec, but just have a watch to see what he says.
We have a little clip actually from the recent protests. Let's watch and see. On the steps of the Foreign Office here in London. They're chanting "Not in our name." They're marching for a ceasefire. And we see them now. Again, you were saying, talking about performative theatre. Here they are wearing all the Jewish religious garments, the talit, the tefillin, blowing the shofar. The COVID masks are not traditional Jewish garments, but they've made their way into here as well.
I like the green-haired one.
Yes.
That's definitely not a lunatic.
A regular occurrence. And I wonder, I mean, these people, I think, do know what they are talking about. They're not completely ignorant. So what is motivating them?
By the way, if they know what they're talking about, they should read the Torah. And the scrolls that are written inside their tefillin boxes, which state very clearly that God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people as an eternal inheritance, and he told them to possess the land. But anyway, let's just park that.
To mobilize against Israel, when someone like you, who is not Jewish, comes from the outside, does see our side of the story.
Well, look, every community has its lunatics. I mean, I mentioned Queers for Palestine. I've been saying for a while that Queers for Palestine are just the gay Naturi Carter. Every community has people for suicide. Okay, fine, you die. Can't take anyone else with you. So yeah, everybody has those people. As for the specific thing of some of the Jews, look, you can be an anti-Zionist Jew. I mean, there are plenty of people, and always have been historically, who have been. I mean, if you read Weizmann's memoirs, the Board of Deputies in England at the time of the foundation of this state were opposed, of course, to the foundation of the state.
And very wisely came around.
A bit.
No, they have.
Well, the Board of Deputies is not known for its strength on the question of Israel. But anyway, the point is simply that there is a trail of skepticism on this in the diaspora, let's say. Okay, some of that's understandable. Certainly, it was understandable in the past. I don't think it's particularly understandable now. But okay. You do not have to go from I'm a Jew who isn't a Zionist to I'm a Jew who says morning prayers for Hamas. Like that. That's the point when you turn into psychosis. These are sick people. And fine, we've had them always historically. You know, every Jew knows that there have been bad Jews. It's not... It's not a surprise to me. Every community has bad people in it.
By the way, I would amend what he's saying. Some may say I'm being far too generous when I say this, but I do think in some cases that it might be a bit of a case of internalized anti-Semitism as a result of so much oppression that it's like the psyche is like, okay, well, they keep hating us, so now, in order to protect myself, I need to somehow make the haters somewhat normal, acceptable, and justify them somehow, so that I can feel safe as a Jew. Because if they're just hating on the state of Israel for totally legitimate grounds, then that means that I'm safe. It's a bit like an abused spouse that's defending the actions of their abuser. Some people react by fighting back, which is what Israel's really all about, just saying we're going to stand up to the haters. Some people are passive, and some people end up justifying the abuser. And I think that's also what's going on there, and somewhat a result of many centuries of anti-Semitism. But some may say I'm being far too generous, and it's really just a psychosis.
And evil people and people who wish the rest of the community very significant harm. And
which is disturbing analysis, because these people, I'm sure, would also push back and say that they believe they are acting out of the noblest values. They believe they are doing good.
No one ever says that I know I'm acting from evil. I mean, you have to believe you think you're doing good in order to do something wicked, as well as to do something good. No, I mean, these, I don't find these Jewish fringe figures of any significance. I think there are two groups in the West who are.
That's important, by the way. They really are so fringe. They do not reflect the vast majority of Jews who are supportive of Israel and what Israel's doing.
Significant. I think that there is the green bit of the Green-Red Alliance, what we saw there. Which,
the climate movement.
No, not just the climate movement. There's the leftist movement.
Okay.
The ones who, yeah, again, they get their politics off the shelf. You can predict 100% certainty what the sort of things they'll say before they say them. And on the question of the Middle East, they will think it's all about the Palestinians, two states or whatever. Those people are a fringe in politics in every country who always have a risk, as with the Democrats in America, of becoming slightly more mainstream. That's the first part of the anti-Israel movement in the West. The second, and the much more worrying to my mind, and the much more difficult to talk about for most people, is the Muslim anti-Semitism, which is very, very hard for Jews or non-Jews to identify. But it's, without question, the main driver now. The marches, the video you saw, videos we just saw weren't very representative of them, but the marches in London are mainly Muslim. They are Pakistani Muslims and others who arrived in Britain in recent generations and brought the anti-Semitism of their homeland with them.
Are they still really mainly Muslim marches, or are you not seeing a lot of white Britons as well?
You're seeing a lot. Yeah, seeing a lot. But the driver is undoubtedly Muslim communities in the UK, Muslim communities in Paris who want to protest there. It's different in different countries, but that's the main driver. And a very close enemy of mine, Mehdi Hassan, some years ago said in an article something true.
Oh, there we go. He brings it up as well.
And that's why I remember it.
Yes, I remember. He received a lot of pushback for this.
Yeah, of course he would, because his audience expect lies. But he said in this article about 10 years ago, he said the Muslim community in Britain, he said, anti-Semitism is our dirty little secret. He said, it's our dirty little secret. He said, every Muslim reading this will know what I mean. It's always there at the dinner table. It's always there around the table. Now,
And he also said, and if they deny it, they're just in denial, basically.
Which was an astonishing moment of honesty to credit.
Yes.
Mr.
No, I mean,
Hassan.
as I say, I credit him for telling the truth for once. But he's in this revelation he made, he confirmed something I've said for years. I mean, for instance, if you import a lot of people from, I don't know, a philo-Semitic background, maybe you'd have a more philo-Semitic society. Not that it's a term I particularly like, but if you import a lot of people from an anti-Semitic background, you'll have a lot more anti-Semites in your society. Germany, after the war, decided to import a lot of people from Turkey and the Middle East and North Africa. And Germany, as a result, which wasn't a country that needed a lot more anti-Semites, has got a lot more anti-Semites. And they are trying to work out what to do about that. And it's not easy, because these people are citizens. In Britain, we have Hamas leaders who live freely in Britain, who've been given British citizenship by the British state, and they plot evil and violence against the people of this country. Now, the British government, Labour and Conservative, seems to not know what to do about that, and that's Hamas leaders. So imagine how much more worrying it is for the country when they see hundreds of thousands of relatively recent migrants of Muslim background who, and this is the other thing, they ask, why are they so feverish? Why are they so feverish about Israel?
Well, the reason is actually because it's to do with Islam. And there's a view among the Islamists that basically you need Islamic political control, certainly in the Middle East, and it should expand, and that's the way history is meant to progress. Islam has superseded Judaism, they would say. And God has broken his covenant with the Jewish people. And Islam is what's meant to dominate the world. Now imagine, what would it mean for someone that believes that sees the restoration of Israel, the restoration of a people who wandered the earth and were exiled for 2,000 years to come back to their land, as God promised. He said, I'll bring you back to the land, and the land will bloom again and blossom, and you'll be there and you'll rebuild your cities and towns. And it's like, it's vindicating the Jewish people's Torah and their faith and their relationship with God. And so that's why it touches such a strong nerve to them. Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense, and that's why it drives them so mad. And that's why there's going to need to be a religious reform, coming to terms with the Jewish people's relationship with the land and with God, and frankly the Torah. That's going to need to happen. That really is the only way that we can truly get peace. The Muslim and Arab world are going to need to acknowledge some basic truths, some hard truths, but in the end, truths that they will benefit from as well, because this is the way God wants his world to be, and everyone has a role in that world, that they just need to understand what their true role is, and it certainly isn't to try and annihilate the land of Israel and the people of Israel. Anyway, that's enough for now. I'm Molly Annisfeld, you're watching JTV.